Okay, so welcome to everyone joining us today. We will be recording this event. As I said, we just started recording. Thank you for exploring Trinity College in Rock Island, Illinois. And Trinity College offers undergraduate and graduate degree programs in nursing, radiography, and health sciences. Our faculty are experts in both teaching and clinical practice, and this is reflected in our outstanding college and program outcomes. At Trinity College, our students can transform their lives and make a difference in the world. My name is Lori Perez. I'm admission rep at Trinity College, and today's presentation is all about our students. And today I'd like to introduce Alyssa Pinjwani and Erica Barnett. Are you able to join us by video today? Hi, Alyssa.
Hello.
Erica, hi, welcome. It's so good to see both of you. Erica and Alyssa, you're both in your final year at Trinity. Erica's your final semester.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Alyssa, you've got, just one more after this. Yes, registered for your last one. Yeah. And today you're going to share your experiences. So this is your time to let us know what Trinity College, what the experience is like. And after our discussion, we'll field questions if anything pops up. And then we will wrap up with some financial aid and admission information. So I think we can begin. And Alyssa and Erica, if maybe if you want to go in first, and then Erica after, just introduce yourselves and let us know, first of all, how did you hear about Trinity to begin with? So we'll start with you, Alyssa.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me and Erica. And we're really excited to be able to share a little bit more about a college that obviously both of us have fallen in love with. So my name is Alyssa Pinjwani. I am a second year nursing student in the BSNB program. And a little bit about myself is I grew up in the Quad Cities, but when I was about 8, I moved away. I lived in Germany for a while and then in Singapore in Southeast Asia. And when I graduated high school, I transitioned back to the Quad Cities. And so I was kind of in a bit of an interim period with being out of high school, not really having time to look at colleges. So I took a gap year and started working and was able to tour colleges during that year and decide where I wanted to go. So I heard about Trinity through a friend, a local friend in the Quad Cities. She knew I was interested in something in the healthcare realm and suggested looking at Trinity. And ultimately, I chose the college because I loved how small it was. That was actually something that I was looking for in a college. There's something so unique about walking through the front door and having somebody call you by name, or like walking past a classroom and the same thing. People know your name, you know their name, whether it's students or faculty. We all have a really close relationship, and I really love that about the college. I wanted a place where I could be involved in additional activities, and so Trinity had that as well. And then the other thing I loved about the college is that we have a really close relationship with Unity Point Hospitals. And because of having that relationship, we've gotten to experience some really neat things in that clinical aspect. So that's something that's really unique about our campus and our college that not a lot of other colleges have to offer. So that was part of what made me choose Trinity. I like how the program is flexible. That might be a funny word to use because a lot of people hear like nursing school and they're like, oh my gosh, my life is over. But you do have the flexibility, and there's a really good balance between classes and clinical times and lab, and the program is really built to cater to your needs. And whereas like you might not be able to keep that full-time job towards the end of the program, it is a busy program, but they really do a great job about balancing that schedule and really making the most of that time that we have together. So speaking of schedules, my schedule currently in the program in my spring semester of my second year is I have Monday, Tuesday clinicals. Wednesday is a full class day for us. So they've put all of our classes on one day. And then for a month, I also have Thursday, Friday clinicals. So it's a full week, but you don't always have those Thursday, Friday clinicals. And when you don't, those are nice catch-up days and study days. So,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, no, I was just, oh, yeah, no.
And I was just going to say, Erica, for radiography, how about you? How did you decide on Trinity? What was your path to choose us as your college?
Sure. So Alyssa and I have a lot of the same talking points.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about myself is I'm also from the Quad Cities, growing up in the Davenport Bettendorf area. And I have somewhat of a unique experience in that I really had no clue what I wanted to do for most of my life. I thought I would be so far away from the healthcare field. I didn't think I was a blood and guts kind of person. That whole thing scared me. So I spent 2 years at the University of Iowa just as an open major trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I ended up declaring a psychology and pre-law track. So how I, took a 180 from that and ended up somewhere in the healthcare field was during my time at the University of Iowa. I unfortunately ended up at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. I needed an echocardiogram of my heart during my stay there. And I was just fascinated by the technology and got to talking with that technologist about what her education looked like and what her experience was. She kind of explained to me that you can go straight into ultrasound or you can go to x-ray school, and a million different paths open up from you there to go into other modalities such as ultrasound or MRI, CAT scans. That was the route she chose to take, and it was something she highly recommended I do as well. So while at the University of Iowa, I took an introduction to radiation sciences course just to ensure that I really was interested in the field, and I absolutely fell in love with all of radiology and everything that went into that. But the University of Iowa does have a program. However, because I was an open major for so long and because I was so far away from the healthcare field, I didn't have any of the prerequisites that they required to get into their program. It was going to take me another 2 years just to get those pre-courses done, and then their program is actually 3 years. So obviously that was a huge factor for me. Giving a general search of moving closer back to home anyway, I found, of course, Trinity, and I scheduled a visit. So that was another reason why I chose Trinity. One, it was closer to home, and two, they allowed me to transfer all of my credits, and they allowed me to take some of the courses that I was missing. So I took anatomy and physiology actually well in the program at Trinity, which was a huge benefit for me. And additionally, like Alyssa was talking about, I, of course, know the good reputation that Unity Point Health Trinity has in our community. And I knew our clinicals would be done there. So I knew that my clinical experience would just be awesome. And again, it is a smaller school, and it feels very personalized to you. And you get really, really close with all faculty, staff, and classmates too.
That's great. And you mentioned the clinical experiences, as Alyssa had mentioned her schedule. That is one of the main questions I get as an admission representative is, what is the schedule going to be like? What are the clinicals like? So would you mind maybe even specifying for each program, maybe Alyssa first in nursing and
Sure.
Eric in radiography second, just a day in the life on a clinical floor? Like you, Alyssa, you said you're there Wednesday and Thursday. What does that look like? What from the uniform to showing up, what is that like if you had to describe what that day on a clinical is like?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
So our uniforms are actually very cute now for the guys. They're very handsome. I started like right as the uniforms had kind of gotten an upgrade, so I did experience the full white uniform, but we wear like navy scrubs and then like a light blue scrub top. A day in the life in a clinical experience changes all the time, and that's just because it depends on where you're placed. So at the beginning of the semester, you get a schedule that it goes through every floor that you're on for that whole semester. And so we're on a different floor. Sometimes every week we're changing floors. And usually my Monday, Tuesday clinicals are from about 6:30 to 3:30. So they're about 8 hours. And it's really a great experience. You're kind of thrown into I say that in the most graceful way. Like you're really pushed into that field that you're interested in. You're able to help, and you're able to learn and soak up that environment and just really grow as a student.
That's great. How about radiography? Is it the same? Do you go with a large group of students, or is it just maybe a couple at a time?
So it really depends on your schedule. As far as when I'm in clinic and class, as a second year student, we have clinic Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you have class on Thursdays from about 8:30 to 3:30. So again, all our classes are kind of slammed into that one day, but we do have Tuesdays off completely. As a first year student, you attended class Monday and Wednesday, and then you attended clinic Tuesday, Thursday, and then you received Friday off. Our clinic can be at a variety of times. We do also have the 8-hour baseline, so it can be 7 to 3:30, 8 to 4:30, 8:30 to 5. We also do a second shift rotation, which is 12:30 to 9. And then we also do get our schedule at the beginning of the semester where we're going to be. You will change locations. I know Alyssa said you change floors. For us, we go to the Bettendorf Hospital, the Rock Island, the Moline. I spent a lot of my time in Muscatine as well. Each clinical site will have a different amount of students there. So it really just depends week to week how many there are. There are never more than 3 students there. So you get a lot of experience with your technologists and get a lot of learning experience. You also, for our rotations in clinic, a little known fact is kind of how much we are around the hospital all the times. So there are portable rotations where you'll be the one taking the portable machine up to the floors. We also do rotations through surgeries, because that's also a little known fact is we're in on a lot of surgeries. You have fluoro rotations. Fluoro is kind of like a live action x-ray, and we work very closely with our doctors, the radiologists, to perform different procedures like lumbar punctures or arthrograms, swallow functions. We work with speech pathologists on those, and things like that. So your schedule will be broken up depending on if you're in surgery, if you're in fluoro, the department, or whatnot.
That's so helpful. And then this is a question that's come to mind. You were both first year students during spring when the pandemic came into being, I guess, for lack of a better word. Can you describe maybe how it was handled for you, and how you had to adapt to that as students, how the college adapted? Like, what was that like for you all? Because coming in your fall and early spring semester, I'm sure, is different than what's going on now. Can you just speak briefly about what that's been like as students being in medical, or like at a medical, or college during a pandemic?
Yeah, I definitely think we're at a unique, we're on a unique platform because we are both in the healthcare field and going through majors that are in the healthcare field. And so when you look at it that way, we did have a unique spin on when the pandemic started, because while we weren't like full blown able to jump in, at least I speak for myself in the nursing realm, is we were really able to actually take a lot more responsibilities on when it came to non-COVID patients. So under the supervision of our clinical instructor, we actually took a lot of the responsibility of the patients that were not needing that more serious care, like those COVID patients, the patients that the floor nurses were really having to invest a lot of time into caring for. So that was a really unique opportunity that we were able to play a part in. And as a college, it was handled beautifully, because as from the students' perspective, nobody knew what was going on in March when it started happening. And we heard of all these colleges like closing their doors, and as a student, you kind of panic because you're like, oh my gosh, like I have had my whole life is planned out in front of me. And it kind of like everything goes up in the air, and you're like, well, but Trinity handled it in a way that we just smoothly transitioned to virtual. And virtual isn't ever perfectly ideal for everybody. We miss seeing everybody face to face, and well, that's true. We miss being in the classroom, but being able to transition, not missing out on any of our clinical hours. Trinity actually made it so that in the spring, when everything was still so new and uncertain, we were able to do virtual clinicals. So they really bent over backwards for us, and we're still graduating on time. So that's pretty incredible.
How about you, Erica?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Alyssa, but it made me a little nervous going on spring break, because last year we really didn't come back from spring break for quite a while. So kind of got your heart beating fast. But yeah, so after spring break, we got the notification that we all would be moving to virtual. And of course, we did the best that we could. Nobody knew what was happening. So there were some road bumps along the way, but I think it made us all better. You became more self-motivated in that sense. When you're at home, you got to get up, get out of your pajamas just to be motivated. But at least for the radiography program, we're lucky enough that since it is a smaller program, we were able to come back face to face. I think about 6 weeks after being virtual, and then we began clinicals as well. And the college put in place these safeguards for us so that we would never be in contact with a known COVID patient, or anybody that was going to be tested for COVID, or anybody that had the symptoms of COVID. We were not allowed to have interaction with. Which could be tricky because we aren't getting that experience, but it's also nice to be kept safe. So that was a little bit how the college was able to handle it. And the techs were also really good about making sure we're all following the proper PPE and the precautions necessary to keep everybody safe.
Good. And now what are your career goals, or what's next for the both of you after graduation? Has what you thought you were going to come in to do as a registered nurse or radiography tech, has that changed? Or what do you see yourself in maybe 5 years?
Sure. Well, I'm an OB girl. That's my jam. So I came in with that idea, and I think I'm leaving with that idea. You never know. I keep an open mind, and there have been certain fields that I've gotten to experience as a student where I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. So in 5 years, I see myself either getting my master's in midwifery or my practitioner license. I'm kind of a school junkie, so I definitely see myself going back to school at some point. But yeah, something in the obstetric field.
Wonderful. And how about you, Erica?
Yeah, so I currently kind of going back to my schedule, I normally have a little short break or I go straight to work normally after class or clinic. As a second year, there were a few job openings actually in the hospital to become trained as a radiology tech assistant. And then you kind of got to learn more about CT or CAT scans, which is another incredible opportunity. Just that being in this school gave me not only to make some extra money for school, but to get more experience and more confidence just in my field. So that's a huge benefit. And kind of because of that, I actually accepted a full-time second shift offer couple months ago, actually. And so I'll be staying at Trinity again, full-time in both X-ray and CAT scans. So I'm going to begin first in Rock Island at our largest hospital, and then I'll be able to travel to all of the 3 Quad Cities locations. And then overall, just my career goals are to be the reason why patients want to choose my facility when they need to seek out care. Giving them that positive experience that they want to come back to us because they were treated so well. A lot of people can be fearful of the diagnostic imaging machines or what's going to happen, or even just they're anxious about the results of what my imaging is going to show. So I definitely want to ease their fear in my career. And then even though it is such a fast-paced field, I really want each patient to feel like they were well cared for and that we took the time to do things right for them and make them feel like their care is our top priority, because that's what we're here for. So
wonderful. Thank you. And I think I have just one last follow-up question, I guess, before we turn it over to Stephanie to talk about some maybe financial aid and scholarship opportunities for students. But what's one thing maybe you wish you would have known if you had been sitting in on this from a nursing student or a radiography student that you found out once you were in the program? What's one thing you said, oh, I wish I would have known this?
I think I can start. It's probably not helpful for anybody else out there, but I wish I would have known how much I love what I do, because I would have found it so much sooner.
Well, we're glad you did when you did.
Yes. Well, and another part of that is there are, of course, a lot of negatives to the COVID situation. But when COVID hit, I'm sure all of us as students had to reach down deep inside ourselves and ask if we were really cut out for this, if we still wanted to go in this field despite everything that's happening. And for me, sitting down with myself, I realized that I was head over heels, diving deep. I want to do this no matter what, even if the possibility is there that I could get sick and die doing the thing that I love. And that answer was a screaming yes. I love this so much. I will do that for my patients. So I wish starting the program, I would have had that same knowledge that I was going to love it so much, because it took me to about March when that all started happening that I really figured out that this was what I was meant to do. So
that's wonderful. Thank you, Erica. And how about you, Alyssa?
I feel like I would have liked to know kind of what I could have been doing to prepare. And I think nobody ever knows this. It's kind of something that's unique to you as a student, and everybody is different. Everybody has different like study techniques that work best for them. But I think kind of figuring out what works best for you prior to starting the program. So whether that's study techniques, does it help to make flashcards or memorize things in chunks, memorize, an hour at a time, whatever it may be, kind of experiment with that and find what works best for you. before you're knee deep into a healthcare program and you have information coming at you and you have no way to, or you're not sure what the best way for you to remember it is. So I feel like that is what I would have liked to know, is kind of be preparing better for that. And then I think staying organized is also a big part about being well prepared. And I would have loved to have somebody kind of guide me into different ways to stay organized in a program like this. So like having a planner, I'm a written planner kind of person, but it doesn't have to be written. It could be on your phone, or yeah. Some people keep it in your head, but I think that if you do that, I bow down to you because I do that.
Well, I think you're both very organized because I know you're so busy. You got here on time. You're doing the presentation. So, and I just want to thank you both. We do miss doing this in person, having people join us in person so you could talk to many people might join us on campus, but we might get there again. But until then, we have this presentation. We'll have it recorded, and maybe we'll check back with you guys after graduation and see where you are at. So thank you so much. I wish you the best in your last semesters. So thank you so much for doing this for us today, and for that we can have this recorded for other prospective students. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Whoa,
So now I'll turn it over quickly to Stephanie Milja. She's going to talk about some financial aid and scholarship opportunities for Trinity College students that may be seeking that as well, because that is definitely something that college students need to know about, what their resources are so they can finance their education. So go ahead, Stephanie.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Alyssa and Erica. I enjoyed hearing your stories about your time at Trinity College. The current, for financial aid, students can complete the 2021-22 FAFSA using their 2019 tax documents. There are a few grants that come from the FAFSA, a Pell, SEOG, and Illinois MAP grant for students that live in Illinois. There's also a couple of student loans that come from the FAFSA as well. There's a subsidized and unsub loan, and there's currently no interest on loans until the end of September of 21, unless the government extends that through some of the COVID relief that's available. We also have a scholarship program for our students to apply to. And on our website under financial aid, and if you go to the funding options screen, there's a Trinity Scholarship tab. And so our scholarships open for our students to apply to in the fall semester. We have about 50 various scholarships that our students can apply to. There's a scholarship guide here that if you click on, it gives you some information about the criteria and GPA for each scholarship. And as that loads, it just breaks down the scholarships that we have available. Any money awarded to our students would go on their spring semester while they're in the program. There's also scholarships available through the Trinity Health Foundation and Friends of Trinity as well. And here's that scholarship guide, breaking down some of those opportunities for our students. In 2021, we awarded about $73,000 in scholarship funds to our students who applied. And in 2020, we awarded $142,000 to our students in scholarship funds. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that. And then to wrap up our presentation today, if Stephanie will share her screen back with me. I'd like to share my screen
Mhm.
if you are interested in becoming a future student at Trinity. This is our admissions page online. If you'd like to transform your life, as Alyssa and Erica showed that they are in the process of doing that, and make a difference in the world, definitely your first point of contact would be to contact an admission representative like myself or Tricia Cox. You can contact us. We'll provide you with admission information. This is where the page you could go to do the application. We are continuing to take applications for our 2021 programs. We have nursing programs and radiography starting this summer, and we also have our fall programs. All of our program tracks for the degrees, the BSN, the associate degree in radiography, the MSN, all of their specific admission requirements can be found on this page in our website, as well as where to send your official transcripts, and then of course links to other additional resources at Trinity College. So to conclude, we want to thank you all for joining us today, and we will have this recorded for any future use. Thank you.